There are probably tens of thousands of productivity apps out there, but if you're in the Apple ecosystem, Apple have very cleverly built its own productivity system, which I call Apple's productivity triangle. It consists of 3 productivity apps, and honestly, it's one of the most powerful yet simple productivity systems out there, because all the apps have been designed by Apple to work together. And this is coming from someone who has reviewed, at this point, literally hundreds of productivity apps. So in this video, I'll go through the 3 productivity apps, Notes, Reminders, and Calendar, to essentially streamline your daily productivity so you get more done. And I'll go through a 4th app as a bonus that will automate a lot of your workload for you. Apple Reminders, my most used app. So my task list is easily the single most used app on my phone. I use it literally 10-15 times a day. It always surprises me how many people still don't yet use a task list. And I'm like, how do you even get things done? I started using a task list probably about 10 years ago. And it's one of those things that, at least for me, once you start using one, you can never go back. So I like Reminders because it integrates really well with my iPhone, with my MacBook, my Apple Watch, and my other Apple apps. It does a few things that many other task list apps don't do. For example, the location-based reminders. So when I pull up to my gym, my workout plan automatically pops up on my phone, showing me exactly what exercises I need to do, the sets, the weights, everything. I don't have to remember to check it or dig through different apps. Same thing happens when I arrive at the supermarket, right? My grocery list just appears. The smart list feature is also very clever. Instead of me manually organizing tasks into different categories, Reminders does the heavy lifting. I have a smart list called High Priority Work that automatically collects any tasks I've tagged with work and marked as high priority. So I can be anywhere in the app, add a task, and it automatically shows up where I need it. But here's where it gets really impressive. The natural language processing. I can literally say, remind me to go swimming every Sunday at 6 p.m.
Okay, I've added it.
Or remind me about this email tomorrow morning.
Okay, I've added it.
And the app just gets it. It creates the reminder with all the right settings without me having to click through a bunch of menus. For shared stuff, the collaboration features are pretty solid too. For example, you can share grocery lists with people in your household, or you can share home maintenance tasks or project ideas. And when anyone in your, for example, your household checks something off, it updates instantly for everyone using that list. No more asking people in your household if they remembered to buy the milk. One thing that helps my workflow is using tags to create a simple get things done system. So I tag tasks with things like at home, at computer, at errands. So when I'm sitting on my laptop, I can instantly see all my at computer tasks across different projects. It's simple, but incredibly effective for staying focused on what I can actually do right now. So Apple's productivity triangle is really very, very clever, the way that it helps streamline productivity in a very simple yet efficient way. However, one thing it's lacking is automation. And that's important because without automation, you're still manually creating tasks, you're setting reminders, and you're updating your calendar. Automation would handle all that repetitive work for you so you can focus on actually getting things done. And that's where this video's sponsor, Lindy, comes in. So Lindy is the simplest way for businesses to create, manage, and share agents. Now with just a prompt. So I see my Apple Calendar almost like my own personal assistant. It reminds me what meetings I have scheduled that day. It reminds me 15 minutes before the meeting so I don't forget, and it just basically organizes my day. Lindy is like that, my personal assistant, but a supercharged AI personal assistant that does so many more things. For example, I have another company called PlayStack, which is basically a YouTube agency. So we do a lot of email outreach. We have a prospect email list of about 2,000 prospects. So let's say we want to send a personalized email to every single one of those 2,000 contacts. To do that manually, it would take days, if not weeks, but Lindy can do that task within literally minutes. And I'll show you how I did it. I open up Lindy and I just type in that I want want it to do a lead outreach task. I then give it some instructions on what outreach task I'd like it to carry out, and then I uploaded a CSV file with all the contacts, including first name, last name, email, and a bit of information about them. Obviously, this file is an example file with fake emails and info, as I don't want to be using real data of real prospects without obviously asking for their permission. But this is the clever part. Literally just 1 year ago, this task would take days, if not weeks to do, but Lindy completes this task in minutes. So this is the CSV file it gave me, and you can see the first line of the email is 100% personalized based on the information that I gave it. Very clever. And because I'm using strategies like Apple's productivity triangle and AI employees, I have the time to not just run one business, not just run 2 businesses, but run 3 businesses. One of them is a business called Triathlon Mike, where basically on that YouTube channel, I review cycling products, but I'm not the only YouTube channel that does this. So I asked Lindy to create an in-depth competitor analysis for me. So that's exactly what Lindy did. In fact, it even shows you in real time how it opens a browser and actually searches for these YouTube channels right in front of you. And in a matter of minutes, Lindy has put together a very in-depth analysis of my competitors. So if you do want to check out Lindy, I'll drop a link in the description below, and I really suggest you at least check them out, because there's no way I'd be anywhere near as productive as I am today, able to run 3 businesses at the same time without the use of AI in my daily workflow. Okay, so back to Apple's productivity triangle. The second app, which I also consider my personal assistant, is Apple Calendar. My calendar pretty much runs my day. That's why I call it essentially my personal assistant. There's no way I'd be able to remember everything I have going on throughout the day, but fortunately, I don't have to. So Calendar reminds me 15 minutes before every meeting, which makes me a much more reliable person because I'm not forgetting calls, I'm not forgetting lunch meetups, appointments, that kind of thing. I run a couple of businesses, and if we have a new hire that is lesser experienced and they miss a meeting or they're late, one of the first things I ask is, are you using a calendar? Because honestly, without my calendar, I'd be forgetting most of my meetings too. So I keep my calendar color-coded into yellow and gray. Yellow for all my personal and business meetings, gray for meetings related to another business I'm running. The color coding helps me know within a split second what type of meeting it is just by glancing at my calendar. Now, one feature most people don't use, but should, in my opinion, is custom alerts. Instead of just the default 15-minute warning, you can set different alert patterns for different events. So for flights, I set 3 alerts. One the day before to remind me to pack and kind of gather my documents. Alerts 4 hours before to start heading to the airport, and an alert 45 minutes before to get to the boarding gate so I don't miss the flight. And as you'd expect, Apple Calendar syncs perfectly with Apple Notes, which is the third app. So Apple Notes is easily my number 1 favorite note-taking app. And I've used a lot of note-taking apps. I've seen this pattern over and over. People start with Apple Notes, get tempted by more complex apps with more bells and whistles like Notion, and then eventually come back to Apple Notes. And I know this because I've done it myself, but I always tend to keep coming back to Apple Notes. There are 2 things that make me keep coming back. The first is Apple Note simplicity, and the second is speed. So when I want to take notes, I don't want to wait for some heavy app to load. I just want to get to my notes quickly. And that's why I've set up a hot corner. So when I move my cursor to the top left of my screen, a small square appears, I click it, and my notes open instantly. You can set this up by going to System Settings, Desktop and Dock, scroll down to Hot Corners and set Quick Notes to any corner. Everything in Apple Notes is searchable, the titles, the content, even text within PDFs. And that's why I don't really use folders. I just have one big list of notes because finding anything is so fast. I press Command plus space on my MacBook, I type what I'm looking for, and it finds the exact note I need. The scan feature is underrated too. I can scan any document using my iPhone and it gets saved directly into Notes. This feature, the scan feature for PDFs, it costs money in a lot of, if not most, other apps, but it's completely free with Apple. And because it's an Apple app, everything syncs through iCloud, so I can access my notes on my MacBook, on my iPhone, on my watch if I want. And Apple Notes is about removing friction, right? So when I'm in a meeting and I need to jot something down quickly, I don't want to navigate through complex interfaces. I want to capture the thoughts and move on. And that's exactly what Notes does. The 1 + 1 = 3 effect. So each app by itself works really well, but when you combine them and you use them together, that's when you can take advantage of the synergy effect, or the 1 + 1 = 3 effect. And this is what makes Apple's productivity triangle so powerful. So let me give you an example. When I start a new project, I capture all the details in notes, and from there I create specific tasks in reminders with deadlines that automatically appear in calendar. If someone shares a document during a meeting, I can reference it in my notes while keeping my reminders open to track action items. And because these are native Apple apps, they integrate with iOS security features, they get regular updates aligned with system updates, and they just benefit from Apple's security standards. You're not dealing with third-party apps that might have different privacy policies or security vulnerabilities. And because I'm using this system on a daily basis, it means I spend less time managing my tools and more time actually getting things done. It's one of the biggest problems I feel with Notion, for example, where there are so many customizable options, there are so many features, there are so many things you can do on it, but before you know it, you can spend more time maintaining your productivity system as opposed to actually doing the work you need to do. So what makes this productivity system so effective isn't that these 3 apps are trying to do everything. They each literally just do one relatively simple task, but they do that one task each very, very well. And if you like this video, I made another video recently on my favorite note-taking apps. You can click on this card on the screen to watch that, or you can watch this video where I go through another Apple productivity system not too dissimilar to this video. You can click on either of those cards to watch those.